What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. In this video, I've got another very important AMC update to bring all of you this afternoon. So honestly, I have a lot of really good things to explain to you guys throughout the remainder of this video. We're going to be looking at the Ortex short interest and utilization because what I am seeing on that data right now is almost laughable, especially with what we are going to cover on what is going on with the broad market. Now, in addition to this, we're also going to be looking at the option chain. We always have to take a look and see where the open interest is. And again, if you guys have missed a couple of my previous videos, we're also going to go over the next time that we could potentially be seeing a major gamma squeeze. Now, with the overall market doing what it has been doing due to the Evergrande situation and the debt ceiling situation that we've been talking about on this channel a lot, the overall market has been very volatile over the last week, and we have seen a lot of selling pressure, which has greatly affected the share price of AMC, GameStop, and a lot of these other stocks that could potentially see a very significant squeeze. But we have seen some very important developments about this Evergrande situation. We have also seen some very bullish developments about the debt ceiling situation. And we also just got some Fed announcements about what they are going to be doing with the tapering of asset purchases and what they are planning on doing with rates. So we're going to go over this situation in full, but in short, it looks like we could have blue skies ahead over the next couple of months for AMC. Now, it is always possible that we do see some small bumps in volatility on the road throughout Q4 in the remainder of the time that we are going to be invested in this stock. That is definitely going to be happening. But with what we are seeing today, it just makes me so bullish on what we have going forward. So before we get into all of that information, if you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provide for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. Again, it costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you guys want to see more videos like this, make sure you hit that subscribe button and make sure you guys have those notifications turned on as well. So at the current time that I'm recording, AMC is trading at $39.90, up about 2.76% on the day. Definitely what we wanted to see, especially after the bloody red days that we have seen throughout the beginning of this week. Now, looking at Ortex, we see the utilization a little bit lower than what we would expect when we see the short interest jump all the way above 20% when we were just at about 18% in terms of the short interest. Now, when we look at the short interest, I believe we did hit an all-time high on what we have seen previously for the estimates that Ortex has been giving us for the short interest. Now, when you think about what's happened in the market over the last week and what we could potentially see going forward, the fact that we have seen such a significant decrease in the share price of AMC and the shorts have even added to their short position, they saw the stock go all the way up to almost $52, $53 a share, all the way down into this $30 range. And they added to their position. With what we're going to be covering a little bit later in this video, it looks like they have really trapped themselves and are doing anything they can at all costs to try to put this down. Now, when we come over to Stonko Tracker, we can see nothing really crazy on the option chain for this week. We do still see a bunch of puts in the money. Let's just refresh this page to make sure we have the accurate info. Yeah, so still a lot of put contracts in the money, but with what we have seen today in terms of the price action and what we're looking at on the option chain, I would have expected to see a lot of market maker hedging by shorting and trying to push AMC to the downside due to the amount of puts that are in the money. But that's not what we're seeing. Now, when we look at January 2022, this next big options expiration date, this is the next time that we do see a significant amount of gamma squeeze potential. So again, it is always possible that October, November, and December do end up becoming a solid gamma squeeze potential expiration date. But right now, with what I am seeing, it looks like January is the next time that we would see a potential gamma squeeze. Now, gamma squeezes and short squeezes are very different, so I just want to make sure that is clear to all of you guys. Now let's get into the situation surrounding Virtue and Citadel. So Virtue fires opening shot in SEC tussle over trading rules. But with what we can see here, Virtue is petitioning the SEC to overhaul the public data that's used to gauge whether retail customers get the best deal when buying and selling shares. The firm contends that when it and other market makers execute orders internally rather than sending them to the stock exchanges, it dramatically lowers costs for investors. Now, the thing that we really need to think about here is, does it really matter if you are getting a lower cost for your trade or the best execution in having your share in your purchases having an overall effect on the market price? The request follows months of unwanted attention from lawmakers and regulators who fear that the wild trading of GameStop and other, quote, meme stocks this year revealed that something is broken with the U.S. equity market. I think you might be onto something there. Virtue and Citadel Securities have been a focal point of Washington's review, with officials questioning whether they are too dominant and if their practice of paying Robinhood and other brokerages for the right to execute orders triggers conflicts of interest that hurts customers. If the SEC ends up doing anything about this, this is really going to influence the amount of money that Virtue, Citadel, or any of these other big market makers are going to be able to make. It is essentially going to be cutting down their money tree, which honestly could have a really good effect on the overall health of our U.S. equity markets. So now let's get into this potential blue sky situation. And what I mean by that is there may not be any more roadblocks in the short term coming up. Now, we all know and we've all seen what's happened with the market over the last week. And I understand it has been very tough to watch those numbers on your screen, especially the value of your account significantly decrease. But what I would say to that is we have a lot of very good developments happening. So right here, China's government is set to take control of Evergrande in an imminent deal. In a fresh update on the China Evergrande story, the indebted property development giant is likely to be restructured into 3 separate entities in a fresh deal that could be announced within days. Asia Markets reports on Wednesday, citing sources close to the Chinese government. Now, key quotes: the deal is being designed to protect Chinese nationals who have bought apartments from Evergrande, like the ones you see protesting on the streets, and also those who have invested in Evergrande's wealth management products. So what's happening here is that the government over in China is finally seeing that this situation is most likely going to spread to the global economy, and they are going to do their best to contain this. So this is a good development. We still have to see how this plays out. But again, this is giving a lot of positive sentiments to our market today. Now, when we come over to this article, the House ended up passing the bill that we talked about in yesterday's video. The House passes the spending bill and debt limit increase over GOP opposition. So what we're seeing here is the House passed this bill that is essentially going to kick the debt ceiling can all the way into December of 2022, but it still needs to get passed by the Senate. Now, it is going to be difficult for this bill to get through the Senate. They are going to need a significant majority of votes in order to make this happen. But what we're seeing here is a possibility of this situation really going away. So what we're seeing here, the bill is urgently needed to avert a government shutdown when funding lapses next week, and a first ever debt default when the U.S. Treasury Department reaches the limit of its borrowing authority within weeks. If I had to guess right here, the individuals within our government are not going to let the United States default. That would be catastrophic for our markets and the global economy. Most likely, they are going to figure out a way to kick this debt ceiling can down the road, which would be very bullish for our markets. Now, here is the other thing. If the United States doesn't default and they do end up raising the debt ceiling, it is also possible that the United States gets their credit rating downgraded. Now, that would have an effect on the broad markets, but in my opinion, that would be a quick sell-off similar to the downgrades that we have seen before, and then a buy the dip moment in the markets, and then the markets would continue back up on its upward trajectory. Now, coming over here to the CNBC article, this has to do with some Federal Reserve comments. Now, I know a lot of this is broad market stuff, but you guys have seen how the broad market has been affecting AMC over the last week. So looking at this stuff is going to give us a good understanding of where the overall markets are going to be heading and where AMC could be heading in the near future. So the Federal Reserve holds interest rates steady. That is something that we definitely predicted. 2022 and 2023 are when they are looking at raising interest rates, and that could cause a downturn in the markets, but we are just going to have to wait and see, and says tapering of bond buying coming soon. Now, this is kind of a misleading title because when you look at exactly what the Fed has said, What they're saying is that they are going to start tapering their asset purchases when they start to see the signs of economic growth. But we haven't seen any signs of economic growth. We have seen the GDP forecast continuously go down. We have also seen the employment numbers and the job numbers come in wildly lower than expectations. So the criteria that needs to be met in order to start the tapering of asset purchases, in my opinion, with the data that we have, isn't really close at the current time. And when we start to see this tapering, it's not like it's going to be an automatic shutoff button where they stop buying assets and pull that liquidity from the market. It's going to be a slow drawdown of the asset purchases, and they are going to try to not affect the broad markets. So what we're seeing here is three very, very important catalyst that could have sent the markets down in Q4. And it looks like the situation over in China is starting to get handled. We are seeing the debt ceiling situation start to really come to a focal point, and our Senate and House and all of the individuals that are within our government are looking to try to make something happen to kick this can down the road. And we also basically got the same news as we always do that has to do with the tapering of asset purchases and interest rates. So when we look at all of this as a whole, it looks like the markets could be making a turnaround in the near future. Now, when you combine that with the fact that the shorts on AMC have added to their short positions when we've come from that $50 range all the way down to 40, it's essentially trapped them in a more over-leveraged position. And if we can continue this uptrend up for AMC, it is going to put more pressure on these shorts, more pressure on these lending institutions, and it is going to lead to a better situation for us as retail investors. So that is going to wrap up this update on AMC. If you enjoyed the information and analysis that I provided for you in this video, make sure you go down and hit that like button. It costs you nothing to do it, but it really helps us out a whole lot in getting this information out to as many people who want to learn. And if you want to see more videos like this, make sure you guys hit that subscribe button and make sure you guys turn on that notification bell as well. So I hope you guys are having a great day, and I'll see you guys in the next video.